This is Nate Dodson, and you're tuning into And This Is Why, the podcast show. A show where we help you take your business to the next level. New episodes every week streaming on your favorite streaming platforms. Enjoy today's episodes. Hey guys, welcome to And This Is Why, where we talk entrepreneurship, starting businesses, growing businesses, and all the best ways in between for you to think a better way, having that entrepreneurial mindset to get where you want to be in your own ventures. So today we've got a guy that I've known absolutely forever at this point. He's an entrepreneur through and through. We'll dive in a little bit deeper into his experience. Nowadays, he's in real estate. So between entrepreneurship, real estate, and how to make it in kind of the current environment, all really important stuff. So please allow me to introduce to you my friend, a great entrepreneur, JD Bernal. JD, awesome to see you today. And you know what? I want to talk a little backstory about your current business with the most comical thing that I always find hilarious. Where your business is at today, located right there in the heart of Dallas, Texas. Your business, not your business, but the building is literally connected to like a swingers club.
Absolutely.
What's it like? You know, you're doing real estate, Granite specifically, business by day, by night. There's wild and craziness happening all over. Does it actually affect, like, you got materials outside? Is it safe?
Well, for who?
I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you can be crushed by a granite slab at any point in time, possibly under the influence, is always there. So I have to kind of take precautions and tie things down and stuff like that. You never know, back in the drinking days, you never know what I would have done either. So, but it's interesting, we have the daytime, they have the nighttime. So there's a certain time where we switch and my clients and customers are coming out and theirs are coming in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so today you have a Granite business.
Correct.
And how do you get into it? Like, that's kind of a weird thing.
Initially, I was in real estate. A buddy of mine was doing granite, and he was doing granite for us. I was working on a large house for a big-time real estate investor, commercial real estate investor in Dallas. And at that time, I was kind of transitioning out of real estate and trying to focus more on the construction side of it, just because the market was a little crazy. He invited me to be a partner in this business. At some point, he actually embezzled all the money out of the company, and I ended up taking that over and expanding because I still had good relationships with people. So I liked the granite industry. It was one thing instead of framing and countertops and flooring, and it's like I didn't have to think about all those things. It's just one thing that we stick to, and I had good people that were involved with me. And while I was building that house, the owners of the house, the real estate guys, actually asked me if they could invest in my company. They said they really like me, they like what I was doing, they like my work, and it sounded interesting and something that could have expanded. So we sat down for about a year and put a plan together to create this giant, hopefully, Granite Company. Interestingly enough, I used to bartend at that swingers club probably 10, 12 years ago when I just needed to make some extra cash in the evenings and on the weekends. So, and I remember I used to walk by and I used to look into the showroom. It used to be a limo company. And I used to look in the glass and go, man, if I had a building like this, it would be so cool. I would do something great with it. And then I would walk to my car and I would, go home. Well, the guy's house that I was building the house for owned that business. And so as I was building that house, and he's like, hey, listen, we want to partner with you. We also have a building, a property and everything. And he told me the address and I was like, no, there's no way. There's no way. And they were like, just go look at it. So I drove back and I looked through there and I was like, wow, this could actually be mine. And then they started investing, we started building, and that's in the building I'm in now. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story.
Let me ask you this, because you brought up it sounds like a painful situation of you had a partner that basically cheated you.
Right.
It sounds like he full on cheated you.
Absolutely.
Emotionally, like that was not a good partner. Like that's without a question.
Right.
In terms of you continuing forward with the business, how did that affect you or your decisions, or like how did you overcome?
You know, I knew that people trusted me, and even though my name was attached to the business, even though somebody else was, running it in the ground, I always maintained my dignity in my relationships. I never lied, cheated, stealed, any of those things. So they still trusted me to stay in business. And, it was basically those relationships that I built. So it didn't have anything to do with the name or the money or anything like that. It was just me.
I think that's one of the most important things for absolutely everybody. And this is for you to learn, really important: ethics.
Right.
Doing stuff right, wearing the white hats, no matter what happens, being moral.
Right.
Being kind to people. It's so important because, things are going to go wrong.
Absolutely.
Constantly go wrong.
Right.
But it's how you react to that and your continuation of relationships. That makes such a massive difference. So congratulations for maintaining that, wear the white hat, and the ethics and the relationships to keep it going.
Thank you.
So when that did happen, now the money is out of your account. Was that kind of when the real estate investor came in and it all kind of worked out well?
Right. It was almost perfect timing. So, I believe a lot in manifesting, what you want, what you need. The universe is listening. Everybody's listening. And I just remember having these dark clouds over my head all the time, not being able to sleep. And I'm like, how am I going to fix these problems? And then, the mindset shifted to just, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And when that happened, something clicked, and then the stars aligned, and it's like that, it's almost weird to look back and go, that was it. Like I just needed to focus and just put it out there and just, and amazingly, if you do what you say you're going to do and you stick to it and you're positive throughout the whole thing, it will turn around.
Absolutely love it. Have I ever told you about my literal favorite book on business, which is not on business, but The Surrender Experiment?
No.
All right. So there's this book. Love it. It's called The Surrender Experiment. It's written by this guy named Michael Singer.
Okay.
He did another book. It was called Untethered Soul, and it's kind of his theories on how to live your life by not fighting the world, but going along with it. And
Right.
so the Surrender Experiment, it was all about it's a kind of his biography of how he became from a yogi living on 10 acres in the woods to actually became a billionaire as a CEO of WebMD, and all the trials and tribulations that all of us deal with as entrepreneurs, and his theories on don't fight the flow of the world, just go with it and recognize that bad things can and will happen in business.
Right.
But it's more how you react to it. And don't fight it. Make the right and the smart decision every step along the way. And the last third of the book was kind of dedicated to, he became a billionaire, but then the SEC ultimately ended up taking him down. He's removed from the company for something that he didn't do.
Right.
Of course, he's pointing fingers at all the wrongdoers, and you read the book and he's just the innocent guy. Who knows what the truth is? But the reality was, in reading through it, you got the feeling of bad stuff can happen to everybody and anybody. And it doesn't matter where you are in business. If you're starting out, if you're already at the pinnacle of success, bad stuff can happen, but it doesn't need to destroy you. It doesn't need to destroy your business. Ultimately, it's how you react to that really makes a difference.
Absolutely agree.
So, I'd like to digress a little bit, because when I first got to know you, I don't know, 15 years ago, probably at this point.
Yeah. 15 more.
A lot of people that like to listen to this and learn, they're the budding entrepreneurs that they're just getting started. Now you're successful, you got your granite shop, you've been doing real estate. I want to go back to the very beginning, maybe not the very, very beginning, but your eBay business.
Yep. So eBay, we found a niche market, and there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there was a lot of people doing it back then, but now it's, you have Gary Vee and you have all these people that are going, go to garage sales, go here, just resell. And it is a lucrative way for people to resell and make money. But at the numbers that we were at the time.
Just to kind of take it back, you said resell. What were you buying? What were you selling? And how are you making money?
So mostly we were going to, we would go to garage sales. We'd go to estate sales, lots of estate sales. And we would just hone in on things that we knew, like electronics, and especially vintage electronics and things like that. I remember my apartment was completely full one time. I couldn't walk around in there with old receivers and big giant speakers and all kinds of things. Learning the smaller things are a little bit easier to ship, but there's big money on the big items. And it was a really cool learning process. Went from running it out of my apartment to a small office with a warehouse. And I mean, I might go and buy a stereo for $10, and it was such an old school, like, tape deck boombox. Conneon, I remember, it sold for $1,000 to a guy in Canada. So the profit margins were just insane. But at the time, eBay would only allow you to sell a certain amount. And so we were capped on what we could get. So I could only spend so much and make so much because of that cap. And so at that point, it wasn't something that I could grow quickly. I knew that would take a long time, and I needed to make money faster. So put that to the side. But it has come back around recently, and I partnered back up with my old buddy that's been doing it for a long time. And now probably he's doing about $500,000 in sales now since starting then, and then has brought me back in to help scale the business to another level. So I think we could do together probably, I don't know, 750 this next year.
It is the circle of life, and you're back to the eBay business, and I had no clue. That's awesome.
Yeah. It just kind of fell in my lap, and I was like, man, he's already gone through the trials and tribulations of that. I've gone through the trials and tribulations of building businesses and systemizing things, and so together, it's like he has what I need, which is the knowledge and the research. Being in that industry for so long now, and I have the business acumen to be able to kind of take it to another level.
Absolutely love it. And you went from that to, why did you end up quitting originally? And I don't remember.
It was just scalability. It just,
it wasn't there.
Yeah. I couldn't get there fast enough, trying to buy things and clean them and list them and pictures and the whole process. It does take time, and I couldn't afford to hire more people. I mean, it was awesome, but
makes sense.
Yeah.
For your new eBay business, is it still the same concept of used, or are you more doing kind of buying in bulk to sell individual, or a little bit of everything?
Back then it was more onesie twosies. Now it's all more auction format. So we'll find an auction and just go buy everything that you can, and then you'll find hidden gems in there. Some of these things are medical type equipment, and you can buy it for a few $100, but it'll be worth $5,000-$10,000. And these guys got to move these things, and so we just happen to know where to find them. And at that point, it's just, now it's not scalability, now it's space.
Great.
So your next hurdle is finding a good long-term lease somewhere that's close enough to where you're getting it. So that the hurdles are different, and they're bigger. But it's a cool thing to see, going from selling one or two stereos to now having some, equipment that analyzes the water system, for the city.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
With these auctions, is there a particular type that you go to? I'm picturing like the IRS auctions, or the, U.S. Treasury Department auctions, or a bank auction that they've had to come in and repossess a business.
It's more like people are getting rid of their equipment because they've got new equipment.
Okay.
So they're sort of recycling, and not even that's a whole nother business model too. But yeah, the ones that are auctions, like people going out of business, they're a little bit different. People are fighting for stuff that it's just like anything you can get. And ours is very specific because there's a niche market for it.
Got it. So you're not doing the storage wars, going to find those.
No, you know, we thought about it, but it's like I can at least see what's going on. So you're looking into a storage unit at that point and going, man, I hope there's something in there. And what I do is I see the photos of all the equipment and I go, okay, I know what that's worth. That's worth that. I'm willing to pay this much. So you kind of almost are not guaranteed, but you know, if you know what stuff's worth, you always get your money back.
That's hilarious to hear that. When I met you and where I met you, you were doing this eBay business, and now you're back, but you're doing it scaled up with everything that you've learned.
Right.
In terms of now you're doing the same thing, you're doing it again, you're doing it better, which if you ask me, that's like entrepreneurship 101.
Right.
Learn, do it again, do it better. Have a problem, learn, do it again, do it better. What were some of your kind of key learnings over the years that now you're applying it to your same old business, but that much better?
You know, creating systems is a huge thing. You know, as a one-man show, you know, you've got to drive and you've got to go pick up these things and bring them back and clean them and test them and shoot them and then list them. It sells, you know, you got to package them. So that's a lot of work for one thing, for one person. And so, you know, imagine having 50 items show up. It's like, I got to get those out in order to get my money back. Having the right people in place, that's been a huge one for me. So I've hired, fired, you know, went separate ways with a lot of people and, you know, even friends and family and, you know, people I didn't know I hired. But you don't know until you try. It's like hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. And so
it's a great saying.
Yeah, I mean, at that point you go, okay, cool. But I learned a lesson from each one of those people along the way. You learn people's strengths. And so I would also try to fit people what I thought that they were good at, you know, what I saw. And what I've also learned is maybe do an aptitude test, you know, or there's different tests that, you know, we've spoken about before that you can kind of see people's strengths and push them towards that way. And it can't always be about growth for just the company or for just me. You know, those people have lives too. So as you know, you learn to take care of those people, they take care of you back. And it's a give and take relationship.
I love it. So for the aptitude, for the personality test, what do you use nowadays?
Oh man, I'll have to look and see which one it is that I don't remember.
I know we're using the DISC profile, DISC.
Tell me about that.
Yep. And it's been amazing. Absolutely everybody in our organization has done it. And if you're hiring people, you definitely need to do something like this. And there are a bunch of them that are out there.
Right.
But it is like what we get is a 30-page report that talks about how the person's personality is, you know, what's important to them, how to communicate with them, how not to communicate
right.
with someone, and really what drives them in terms of their purpose. And I love what you're saying. And it's kind of the exact same. We help push people or allow them to grow in the direction that matches their personality and their passions.
Right.
So now let's take that to your Granite business, which I know that's kind of your main vehicle nowadays. It's a construction business at the end of the day.
Right.
And it has so many roles and it's a regular business. How do you apply that getting the right people in the right seats when it comes to selling, cutting, installing granite?
That was all trial and error. You know, we've got people that we brought in for sales that just, you know, you have estimations and then you have sales, then you have project management. If you try to give too many people all of those roles, well, too many people, too many things, they'll fail at something. And so it's like you're an estimator, sales guy, project manager, you're trying to collect on billing. So it was too much. And so you watch your sales go up, you watch them go, but if they're focused more on estimating, they might be not focused as much on collecting the capital. Now you've got, so now I've got a finance person that, bookkeeper that I've got to go and chase those things. Because, and I remember most of this, I used to do this out of my car. So I was on my cell phone, I had Excel spreadsheets, and, I was doing $500,000 in sales, Granite sales out of my car at one time. And you go, well, I could just keep going at this rate. But if I want to expand and do something big, I've got to go find other people that can take those things off of my plate so that I can then go grow the business and create relationships. So I had to find out what my strengths were. Now I've got an operations manager, I've got a general manager, I've got a sales manager, I've got a shop manager. You'll learn they'll break at some point, and we all do. And it's so when I figured I was breaking, I was like, I even my partners were going, you've got to let go. And
yeah, that's a tough thing to do.
That was very difficult. And so I if I had to take it all and put it into one thing, it would be to let it go and let other people help.
How did you emotionally go through and maybe it is just kind of hitting the breaking point of like, I can't handle this. I don't want to handle this. I'm juggling too many balls. Like, what went through your head at that point?
You start realizing, like, you start saying things like, I'll sleep when I die, or, I can do it all. Just get out of my way. If you want something done, I'll just do it myself. And I just caught myself doing everything still, even though I had people that were there. And so I was kind of creating my own problems. Like, okay, slowly let it go, slowly let things go, let it go. When I was able to start sleeping better and worrying less, I think is when I realized I'm onto something. And it's very difficult, especially when other people's lives are in your hands. It's a big deal. If you're not a business owner or an entrepreneur, typically, you don't understand that kind of stress. People show up and they, do their jobs and they go home. I don't have that. It goes with me everywhere.
And I guess that's a big thing about entrepreneurship is it's an all day, every day, 7 days a week. Even if you're not actively working there, you're actively working in your mind because it's kind of it's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's a lifestyle that, at least personally, I would never think that I could live any other way.
Right. When you get into that lifestyle and that's where you're supposed to be, you just know, and it's like, I've never veered from that. I couldn't go back to just, doing something 9 to 5. I can't, even though all of that stress is it's a beat down. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I have an answer to this, but I want to hear your why. Why do you go through this? Why do you fight every day to make it happen?
I have to ask myself that a lot sometimes, but I think hope and freedom, is a big thing for me. Not only for me, but also the people around me and opportunities. So, if you're always looking at it obviously we all want to make money, but that's a byproduct it's like happiness is a byproduct of living right, and so when I see people happy and doing well and their families are growing, I'm like, man, I'm doing something cool, and I don't even need the respect. It's just, you can feel the love and you want to give it back. And then it's this cool system that you get to watch from nothing. And literally it's like an ant farm of just happy people and they're producing these awesome things. And, it's a good feeling. But I would say at the end of it, hopefully my businesses run themselves. I've got other opportunities going and I can go enjoy life a little bit.
I said I had my own answer, and my own answer is almost exactly as you said. And, I can tell you in my own personal entrepreneurial journey, I had a time period where it was focused on money. How much money can I make? That's all it was about. And then I look around and realize that everybody really wasn't happy We were making money. Everybody was making great money. But that wasn't the reason why we should be doing it.
Right.
And totally a change of mindset, a change of direction. And it was about exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't change the struggles, the hurdles, everything that we deal with, but it's 100% about doing positivity for the world, with our clients, internally with our team, personally with the family, and having that positive, joyous growth altogether.
Right.
So exact same answer as what you just gave. So I think that's really important for you to know. You don't do it for the money. You do it for the passion and the joy. So what's the future hold? It sounds like you're getting pretty close to having your cabinetry business pretty well oiled and running itself. It sounds like maybe your next step is really to truly scale up your eBay business, or what do you see for yourself in the next 3 or 4 years?
I would, obviously I'm going to focus on the eBay opportunity and grow it because it's such a huge opportunity. In my Granite business, systemizing it to where it's on autopilot was a key thing for me. And so what I did was I took a trip for the first time. I've been working as an entrepreneur and failing for 20 something years, right? It's like just over and over, but I never gave up. And I'm now at the point I finally took a trip to Italy to go pick out an entire block of marble, right? And it came out of Turkey, and then they cut it into slabs and polished it, and they're shipping it over here. And then I'm going to cut that into these big giant tiles that are going into now it's a 70,000 square foot house that we're, doing all the stone in. And so going from being in my car and now working on a project of this size, I didn't know what it was like to be away. So when I went to Italy, I realized that I can't put out the fires because I'm not there. I would have to get on a plane, fly back. So I just said, you guys are going to have to figure it out. And that's when I realized that if my team is set up properly and the systems are there, I can go do that. And it was an eye-opening experience to be, especially I've never been anywhere, to be in Italy of all places. I fell in love with it, and I was like, I now have to go and get out. And the only way to do that is to be able to set up that business to run without me there. And that's not only just for me, but like if something does happen to me, I don't want that business to crash. I want them to all have an opportunity to keep growing and it to keep going with or without me. So I'm glad I took that trip. It was an eye-opening experience, but I'd like to take more. So I'd rather have the experiences more than the money at this point.
I love it. Well, my running joke, I've been to Italy quite a few times, and it always comes down to, what do you want to eat tonight?
Mm-hmm.
About Italian food, right?
Absolutely. It's the best.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's not all roses and wonderfulness, but I think you gave some of the most honest and true responses to this is the entrepreneurial journey. And I got to say, and this is a true fact, I've seen it repeatedly. On average, the entrepreneur fails 6 times before they succeed. But once they succeed, they're doing it time and time again, just gets that much easier.
Right.
Congratulations going through that sometimes painful curve to become a success in your own right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, JD. And thank you all for taking a little bit of time to listen to us talk about entrepreneurship, the journey, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is why.